Mr. Dante. How are you?
I'm fine.
So happy.
Just looking to see who you are.
That's who I am. Debbie, behind the lens. That's me. So happy to see you here again.
Me too.
You have a very fun job with a theme of grand illusions and fantastic worlds. Boy, oh boy, you're going to be introducing some really fantastic worlds at this festival.
Well, I'm introducing some movies that I love, and they're all from when I saw them when I was a kid. As and the movie we're seeing tonight, The Empire Strikes Back, is it's the result of George Lucas and Steven Spielberg seeing movies when they were kids that they loved, and they said, I want to get that feeling again. I want to give other kids that feeling, and so they made Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark, and we're all kind of revisiting our childhood when we make these movies. Not that all movies are like that. I mean, some are dramas, some are issue movies, but these movies are kind of special because they show you things you can't see in real life. And the technology was evolving, and we all tried to jump on the technology wagon to make our movies. And as the technology evolved, we evolved, and the movies got better. And sometimes they got very popular. Sometimes they weren't popular, but sometimes they were. Sometimes they weren't popular until 20 years after they were made.
Right.
But still, it's an exciting thing to be a part of.
How do you think, especially when movies were first started and made Shirley Temple a star because presidential order, make happy movies because of the Depression? How do you?
We need more of those.
I was going to say, do you see film filling that void in these tumultuous times globally?
I think it's a little harder because of the structure of making movies is different than it was in those days when there were only a couple of studios and they owned the theaters. But now it's catch as catch can. It's what can you get made, what can you get shown. There's a lot of interesting things going on in the indie world that are far afield from the expensive blockbuster movies that people make. But I've always thought of movies as something that was a harbinger of good times and something that makes people's lives better and makes them, it teaches them and gives them humanity. And I think it's one of the reasons why they still persist even through all the hard times with the COVID and the depression and all that kind of stuff. But people always still want to see something that moves their hearts. And that's what movies are all about.
Do you have a favorite movie at this festival that you're looking forward to or that you would recommend to people to see?
Well, there's so many good movies at this festival. I mean, I'm introducing a movie called The Incredible Shrinking Man, which is a movie that meant a lot to me when I was a kid, and I think has gained in resonance over the years as a picture of where where humanity was in the 1950s, and particularly where men were in the 1950s. And there's a certain amount of male paranoia in this movie. It's about a guy who gets smaller and can't satisfy his wife, which was, sort of buried in the coverage of the movie, but that was sort of the basis of the movie. And it was, an amazing special effects extravaganza at the time, even though it didn't cost much money. And I think it's a classic, and I'm very happy to be introducing it.
Are there any current movies that are out that you see are filling a void for us in terms of technology and storytelling, blending it really well?
Well, I have friends like Guillermo del Toro and Edgar Wright who are making movies that are pushing the envelope of what is possible to do in movies with, effects and but always with stories, always with humanity. And I think that, what's the phrase, movies are better than ever? I don't know that that's still true, but some movies are better than ever.
I think some definitely are, but the ones you're introducing, they are pretty damn good. And Barry Bostwick was just saying those are the kind of films that he's going to try and see at the festival.
Well, good, he should. And because you don't get to see these things on a big screen that often. Most people see them on television. And it's much different seeing them on a big screen with an audience. That's why we love movies.
That's it. Joe, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to see you.
Thanks.